Hi there, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk about building an audience. People ask me all the time, how do you build your audience online? And the truth is, it's really simple. But simple doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that this week. There are 3 main steps to building your audience online. And these are universal. These are the same 3 steps that all the big names that you might know online have taken. Whether they've been intentional with that or not, these are the 3 steps that work. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So who's this video for? This video is for anyone who needs their business, and particularly their personal brand business, to be well known. So whether you're a consultant, a contractor, a freelancer, a business owner, any kind of business owner that depends on being well known, this is relevant to you. It's the core question. What is a big audience? A big audience for me and a big audience for you might be 2 very different things. The process I'm about to illustrate for you is universal, and it applies at every stage of growing your audience. Whether you're building a YouTube channel and you already have 500,000 subscribers and you want to continue growing, this process applies to you. Whether you're just making your very first steps on building your personal brand, this process matters to you right now on day 1. You start working on this process today, you'll actually have a considerable advantage by working through this intentionally than all of those people who got there by accident. So how do you build your audience online? Let's jump into it. So the 3 stages of building your audience online begin with earning your audience. Now, what do I mean by this? Building an audience demands content. At the end of the day, people are showing up for a reason. If you're not creating content, then people have no reason to pay attention to you. So you need to have a content strategy that will support you. So that would normally be a podcast, a YouTube channel. It could be that you build a community and serve that community. It could be online. It could be as a business leader offline by serving your internal audience. But here's the thing, you need to be creating content consistently. If you're not creating content consistently, then you have no right to audience. You have not earned it. So the first part of the process is earning your audience through consistent content creation. Consistency is king here. You'll have heard that content is king. That's not true. Consistency is king. And a lot of people fail at the very first hurdle by thinking there must be a shortcut to creating an audience. There must be a way to bypass that and get straight to the money. It's a lie. It doesn't work. You need this core audience. But if you have that core audience, you have a superpower. Now, when it comes to earning your audience, this is where a lot of people stop as well. They think, okay, if I just create content, I'll attract more and more people over time. And yes, that's true. But if you follow the next 2 steps, you can see exponential growth, not just organic growth, which frankly sometimes and most of the time can stagnate unless you intentionally work through the next 2 steps. So the next step in building your audience beyond the audience that you can earn through your own content is what's often termed as borrowing your audience. I sometimes call it trading your audience. But once you've built up a basic audience of your own, you now have an asset, and assets can be traded. So who else has your audience? Who has audiences in common with you? Who can you serve? How can you offer value? If I have an audience of people who are interested in hypnotherapy, for example, and I've spent a long time cultivating and serving that audience, I maybe have 1,000 podcast downloads a month. I maybe have a YouTube channel with a few hundred subscribers. I'm now quite an attractive proposition to somebody else who's operating in the hypnosis space. So maybe we can collaborate, and you'll find yourself a very attractive collaborator if you also have an audience, because it doesn't have to be a one-way street. It needs to be proportionate, and it needs to be win-win. If I work in the motivational speaking space and I have a modest size audience, I'm not going to get on Tony Robbins' stage. So there's a question of proportionality as well. The more you invest into earning your audience, the greater the asset that you have to trade. So remember that there needs to be a proportionate win-win. The more value you bring as well, the more you can leverage that value. So you may have a modest size audience, but you may be an outright genius. That comes into the mathematics as well. You could be, I'm going to be honest here, you could be an outright idiot with an audience of millions, and you'd be very attractive to people who have an audience in common with you. You could have a very small audience, but you could be a Yoda in your space, and you're again equally attractive to your audience because you bring in a different kind of value. So there's always an interesting formula there that you can work with. So don't always be put off by you have a small audience and they have a bigger audience. Sometimes there's some interesting dynamics going on. So then we come to the third element. And again, this is where a lot of people try and jump to the end and they wonder why it doesn't work very well. And it's because we're talking about, at this point, buying audience. Now, here's the thing. If you've earned your audience, if you've built quite a large organic audience of people who love you, they've probably provided you with a livelihood. You're making some money from that audience. And if you've monetized your business properly, you have multiple layers of revenue stream. You're not depending on just product sales or just course sales or just consulting, but you have a blended revenue model. And if you want to know more about that, I'm going to work on a video on that soon, so don't forget to subscribe. But we've layered our revenue streams. We've then grown our audience through collaborations, through borrowing the audience of others. We now have, hopefully, a substantial business. We have some money that we can reinvest back into our business, and reinvesting back into expanding and growing your audience makes sense at this stage. It doesn't make sense at the beginning, but it does make sense at the end. So it's important to get these steps in order. Earn your audience, borrow your audience, then buy your audience. So you can look at things like Facebook ads, trying to drive traffic at lead magnets to grow your email list. You can use Facebook, you can use paid content, you can use launches, all kinds of fancy tactics to help you grow your audience by throwing money at it. But don't be tempted to do this too early. I would say a lot of people fail to earn their audience and they fail to borrow their audience, because those two things, they take relationships and they take a bit of courage, if I'm honest. And you will get a lot further in building your personal brand and your influence and your audience with courage than you will with money for a very, very long time. So I hope you found that video helpful. If you want to grow your audience online, it's very simple. You start by earning it. You take what you've earned, you trade it with other people to help you grow your audience through borrowing. And then once you're making some money, and only when you're making money, you can reinvest some back into growing again through buying into other audiences further. So my name is Bob Gentle. You have been watching Amplify. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have enjoyed this video, then here's another one talking about how you can build your confidence, particularly for video. Video marketing is really what's working at the moment. If you're not confident being on video, being on camera, this is the superpower I would encourage you to unlock. I was terrified by it. I don't even think about it now. And it's actually a very short time ago. So building your video confidence, I would say, for everything that we've been through in this video, is the #1 skill. So head over to that video and I will see you there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.